Part of the techniques we will be covering during this course is how to present numbers effectively. Now, most of the time, your presentations will involve some kind of numbers. For example, you might be presenting about the amount of money that a project will cost, or maybe the time that a project will take to complete. Also, and more importantly, maybe you're talking about the amount of money you're gonna get paid. Let's start with a small number. For example, a nanometer. Most of us have heard what a nanometer is, or at least we have heard of the term. If you have not, let's lay a common ground. A nanometer is 10 million pieces of a centimeter. So imagine you have 1 centimeter divided into 10 million little pieces. Each one of those little pieces is a nanometer. But we don't get a good idea of how much this is. Now remember that we're talking about nanometers. A nanometer is meter, so we're measuring distance just as a kilometer or a meter. So what will happen now is that we're going to give context to this number, the nanometer. So let's talk about something that we know, a hot dog. If I tell you that last night I had 5 hot dogs for dinner, well, you get an idea that it's a lot of food, because each one of us knows how many hot dogs we eat. You know how many you can eat without feeling full, or how many is too much for you. So these numbers is easy to understand. If I tell you I had 6 or 5 hot dogs, you get a pretty good idea. But how about a nanometer, what we were talking about previously? So let's give context to the nanometer. I believe none of us have seen how much of a distance is a nanometer. But it is your job as a presenter to give it meaning, to make it meaningful for the audience. So let's give it some context and let's give it some meaning. Most of us have shaven either your beard or maybe, in case of the girls, your legs. So keep that picture in mind. Whenever you shave, imagine yourself, you're in the shower, or after the shower, you put on your shaving cream and then you get your razor. And what you're going to do next, once you have your shaving cream on your face, you're going to take a razor and you're going to shave your face. Now, most of us have done this kind of activity. So imagine that the moment that you take that razor and the blade touches your skin and you shave your facial hair, each second after that moment, your facial hair will grow a nanometer. So 1 second, 1 nanometer. 1 second, 1 nanometer. That's the amount of distance a nanometer covers. So now you're giving it context to an everyday activity that people know about. But do we see anything related to a nanometer in everyday things? Well, imagine your cell phone. Your cell phone has an architecture inside of it, and your cell phone has chips or microchips that are 14 nanometers in distance. So there are very small parts inside of there. Now what we have done is telling your audience how much a nanometer is, 10 millionth of a centimeter. But if that's not enough, probably it's not, now you have given it context, shaving. Most of the people around in your audience know what shaving is. And also you have given an example with everyday cell phones. So remember, whenever you're going to present numbers to your audience, number 1, give it context. Number 2, make it meaningful. Transform it into a figure or a number that's more understandable to the people. For example, 1 second, 1 nanometer.